How did you guys actually get connected, you and Kevin?
I kidnapped him. So
Okay.
my wife says I shouldn't say that. So he was here to speak at a EO regional event. He was doing a book tour for his new book at the time. While he was still actively on Shark Tank. He came to speak at the event. He does his speech, then he's in the back signing autographs, taking selfies, selling copy, doing his book. And I figured none of that would make me stand out. So when it was my turn, I'm from Buffalo. He was in Buffalo. I said, I'm here to take you to the airport. He said, oh, I was just going to get a cab. And I said,
Wow.
no, they insist I'm supposed to take you to the airport. And he said, okay. And so I drove very slowly to the airport. So I had more time to pitch.
Overpressure refers to the sudden increase in pressure above the surroundings caused by the wave generated when something explodes. It propagates outward from the origin, capable of causing impact, momentum, or disruption, depending on its intensity and distance. It is a critical factor in assessing the effects of a mission. Welcome to the Overpressure Podcast, where we dive into the explosive world of business for entrepreneurs who are vets or veteran entrepreneurs.
Hey guys, we have a good one today on the Overpressure Podcast. Welcome back. We have Seth Green. No, it's not that Seth Green. This Seth Green is out of New York, and he's coming to us with a tremendous experience in the realm of marketing, a lot of direct response stuff. And, in that process, he's built the Inc. 5000 company. But we're excited to talk with him today and find out about your invisible salesperson too. Check it out. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and all the good stuff. Hey, everyone. We have Seth joining us today. This is definitely a selfish podcast because I want to dive in on what this man is an expert at, and that's getting some attention for your brand. So, Seth, what got you into the industry of lead generation so many years ago?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here. It's an honor to get to serve your audience and hopefully add some value. So I don't know how far back you want to go, so I'll try and do the short version of the bio. I started out as a college financial aid negotiator at howtofindmoneyforcollege.com and started out at a Fortune 500 company making 300 cold calls a day, interrupting strangers asking for money before the internet to date myself. I hated the cold call part. I found legendary marketing guru Dan Kennedy, who taught me direct response marketing. In the 2 years since I started working with Dan, I went from the 6,700th last place rep at the Fortune 500 company to being in the top 30 nationwide. So It worked incredibly well before the internet, got me written about in every financial services trade journal. My phone started ringing with other advisors who had to literally find me in the yellow pages and called me and said, how do I do what you did? And I faxed Dan, who said, start a marketing company and do it for them. Nice. So 18 years ago, Market Domination LLC.com was born. I left the Fortune 500 company, still own the financial services business. And now over the last 18 years, have a direct response marketing firm that grows other people's businesses so they can focus on running them and doing what they do best. And we branched out from financial services to, a couple dozen other verticals.
Nice. And as we can see behind you, ended up on the Inc. 5000 list. Was that something you eventually targeted? Or does that just happen from growing a great business?
It's always been, okay, so I would love to take the credit, but I can't. So it was always on my bucket list. I'm like, get Inc. magazine every month forever. One day would love to be on that list. I didn't really plan it. It was just, we were just kept growing really fast. And I found out, what the minimum revenue threshold is. And I was looking on the list going, who's in last place? What do we have to beat? And then I was like, oh, we probably might actually qualify for this thing. And then went through the application process and was thrilled to find out that we did qualify and we were not in last place. We're about halfway up the list and now we're working on beating our own record.
Very cool. What did that do for the business? Like that recognition, notoriety, did that have any direct impact on the business itself?
So other than the spam emails of all the people going, we want to sell you a plaque, or promotional material that features you on the Inc. 5000, I didn't track it. So I can't say someone said, I hired you because you were on the Inc. list. We didn't have a single person contact us going, I saw you on the Inc. list and want to work with you. So I don't know. We don't have any directly trackable revenue from it. But given that I've been a fan of Inc. magazine most of my adult life, it's very cool to say we're on the list, and we're hoping to beat our record.
Nice. Definitely takes systems to track stuff like that. And I know you guys use EOS. How valuable has it been to have a system? Is that something you learned from Dan way back in the day?
So Dan, obviously big proponent of systems. However, EOS had nothing to do with Dan. I joined EO, Entrepreneurs Organization, a couple of years ago, met an EOS implementer who happened to be a strategic alliance partner. He became a dear friend, and we hired him to be our EOS implementer. I had Gino Wickman, the inventor of EOS, on my podcast twice, but didn't know what EOS actually was. Quickly got corrected, and then had the good fortune to work with our implementer for 2 years, Stas Balanevsky. We recently graduated and now officially run on EOS. EOS has been a game changer for us in terms of management systems and getting everybody rowing in the same direction. Huge help back, because before that, our management and leadership honestly was kind of messy.
Yeah. We started on a system that's similar to EOS, but then in Charlotte, we were in EO for a couple years and found out some more detail. And, there's absolutely parts that we stole from that to apply to our own business. But that leadership aspect is so important. And I know that's a pivotal part of EOS, is to have somebody run it, whether that's the integrator or whatever you call that position. What has your leadership journey looked like as you've grown these businesses?
I think there is no greater lab for developing yourself as a person than trying to grow a business. I think there are no lows lower and there are no highs higher than when it works. I think it is my greatest source of stress and my greatest source of joy. Well, my kids and wife would trump that, but one of my greatest sources of joy. And I think that what I have found is our businesses work better the more we work on ourselves. So even when I create some whiz-bang new marketing technology or software application, our business doesn't just grow because I did that. I've seen bigger leaps, for example, in our revenue when I have an epiphany, a spiritual breakthrough, work on myself as a person and work on my personal and spiritual growth. Then our business magically rises to meet the new bigger container that I have become.
Right. Gosh, that's powerful. What are some practical things you've done to do that development work?
Practical things. Let's see. I meditate twice a day. I have a cold plunge. I work out. I have a sauna, a hot tub. There are a number of different things, devices and technique. I have a very large number of different meditation gadgets, whether they're headsets or biofeedback or whatever it is. I'm a junkie and a sucker for a new toy in the personal development space. I've been a lifelong disciple of Tony Robbins and have done multiple events multiple times. You name it, I probably tried it.
Do you guys have to even chill your cold plunges up in New York, or do you just put it outside?
We have the opposite problem. So I just emptied mine because in Buffalo, I don't have a chiller because I'm like, it's Buffalo. So from September to November, we do not need a chiller. We need one. I don't have one, but I mean, we need one. We would need one in the summer. The spring, we don't need one. And I learned last year not to leave it out all winter because it froze into a giant block of ice. And then I had the problem of I couldn't use it even because I was waiting extra long time in the spring for it to thaw out.
Wow. Not a problem we have down here in Nashville.
Definitely not.
So what are you working on now? What's next for Seth?
What's next for Seth? I think you know, we recently launched what we're calling the Invisible Salesperson, which is an AI-powered podcast that gets your message out to your marketplace without it being branded to you, that you can use to overcome objections and answer frequently asked questions. So that's been my latest innovation. Has been a lot of fun.
Cool. And I love the number side of it. I saw that you guys had at least 6,937 podcasts that you guys have organized. Or did you break seven? First question, and then how has that knowledge base translated into using this new tool?
So we've produced that many podcasts that I haven't checked this week. So I would imagine if we haven't closed 7K, we're probably going to in the next week or two.
Nice.
That knowledge base absolutely informs all of our iterations. Every month or two, I'm trying to come up with some new iteration or distinction to make our podcast production and, more importantly, our podcast marketing services work better on behalf of our clients and, of course, ourselves. And then, yes, seeing the successes from those approximately 7,000 episodes, seeing what worked and what didn't, inspired the AI-powered invisible salesperson version, which for any of you who have been in the direct response game a long time will also recognize as basically like an audio advertorial, if you remember what those are.
I think that's before my time. But what do you think the changes are going to end up being like, and balancing, the human aspect with all of the technology that we see coming?
I think the human aspects makes it better. I think AI can make us and has made us more efficient and more productive and allowed us to do more in less time. However, and even though our invisible salesperson works for what it does, it helps close sales and get your message out there and overcome objections. It isn't building any relationships. I don't think no matter what AI got, it's ever going to defeat or replace the human to human relationship. I think there will always be a place for that. And I think the more AI becomes prevalent, I think the human connection becomes even more important as people get used to or annoyed with AI. I think think about it. If your AI interviewed my AI for a show, that doesn't bond us together at all. You and I don't really get to know each other. I think there's never going to be a replacement for human to human connection. And I think we'll want more of it the more AI grows.
Well, I'm sure you've dealt with the same thing with direct mail, with marketing over the years of, it doesn't establish that message or that communication channel until you actually get to the human to human connection. How have you dealt with it in the past?
I think you're absolutely right. The goal of all of our marketing, whether it was direct mail or online ads or whatever it was we were doing, was all designed to ultimately get a human to talk to another human. Whether it was e-commerce and they were trusting the company enough just to buy outright, or if it was filling our client's calendar with appointments of qualified interested prospects. The whole goal was to basically matchmake between people who've got a problem and people who've got a solution, and get the people with the problem to pay the people for the solution, whether that's a product or a service. So I think the ways we use to communicate, the forms of media and the technology we use will continue to grow. I mean, we're at the most exciting time in history at the moment, right? We've got more ways to reach people and more clever ways to pull things off than we ever have before. But I think ultimately they'll want to interact with people.
What opportunities do you see for like somebody just starting out, or even those of us who have been doing it a couple of years, to take advantage, but still keep that human aspect as we grow our businesses?
I think the AI can leverage your time. It can make you better at what you could do. It can give you expertise and skill sets you may not have already had. But ultimately, it requires a human to push the button. It requires a human to know what they want and a human to be able to proof and or edit what comes out so that it's not hallucinating and you're not sending the exact wrong message.
Right. Oversight's important, right?
Yes, everything needs human oversight.
You had brought up, building a business has its pressures. How have you handled those pressures throughout the years, through successes and failures?
So think some of the things that we talked about earlier, like meditation and working out and other personal development tactics and strategies, have helped with that. Those are the positive ways to deal with stress. I've done some not so positive ways as well. And I think that as I get better coping skills, as my therapist wife would say, to deal with the stress, then I become a better leader, and my business becomes better and my team becomes better because of it.
Wow. Hey, I only have to have the psychologist as our operations manager. I'm thankful to have a publicist as a wife. Let's go with, what's something that you rarely get to talk about that you really enjoy?
That's a good question. What's something I rarely get to talk about that I really enjoy? I mean, we talked about the personal development stuff. Love to geek out on marketing and podcasting. Super proud of my wife and kids for the amazing things they're doing in the world. I don't know if there's a topic that it's like, man, I wish someone would ask me about that. But if I come up with one, I will let you know.
Yeah. Well, how has your family come into it over the years? I'm not sure how many year old or how old they are, kids you have, but how has that helped? And, I guess where have you found the harmony on the family side?
Sure, that's a good question. My kids at the moment are 18, 16, and 13. My 18-year-old is at Cornell for computer science. He has built numerous software applications for us that we've used to sell, that we've sold as services. So that has been super helpful having his, super smart Ivy League brain solving our computer problems. Then my wife is a blogger, podcaster, mommy blogger, influencer, and is my default social worker and therapist and communications director. She's been absolutely fantastic along the way, being supportive of, the entrepreneurial roller coaster. And I mean, we've been having some really, really deep conversations that have been really helpful, literally in the last couple of weeks. So
Mhm.
it helps when you let go of your ego and are willing to be open, honest, and transparent and view your partner as opposed to only quote unquote your wife.
Yeah. Um, do you guys do anything for goal setting or resets, trip wise, or just at home? You said you're having the conversations. I guess what's the format of that?
So yes. So we haven't gone our trips have been two things, either like vacation to Disney, because my wife is a huge Disney fan, or lately the last couple of years it's been college tours.
Mm.
So none of them were, and that's family trips. Like I go speak at conferences and stuff like that, and go again speak and participate in masterminds and stuff like that. We haven't had any specific trip that was intentional in terms of goal setting. My wife and kids and I all do that separately. We just haven't incorporated travel into it, I guess.
That's fair. Oh, we use it for the write off. That's the big thing. Um, what do you think is important in the world right now? Like we've talked about tech, we've talked about like personal care and taking care of yourself. What do you think is important to talk about in the world right now?
All the amazing things that are happening. People get held up or by all the polarization or the politics or the tariffs or everything going on. And I think it's kind of more important to focus on the good stuff and all the amazing things going on in the world. There's never been right a better time to be alive. We have more technology than anyone has ever had. We have more healthcare, more opportunities than have ever existed. I think it's important to focus on the good stuff because what you put out to the world is what you'll experience, right? Our world at 99% is what we experience is the thoughts in our head. And 95% of those are unconscious. So I think it's really important to wire yourself for positivity and put out into the universe that what you want to have happen.
I love that. Yeah, that's absolutely how we try and live and run our business as well. Just trying to make the world a better place. I think it's the right thing to do.
Amen.
You've talked about some of the coaches, whether direct or indirect, and I hear some of that messaging in there. So, how important has coaching and mentorship been to you throughout your career?
Huge. I think you always need fresh eyes on your business and yourself. I think you never know what you don't know. Um, I think it's really, really important to work with someone, um, not 20, 30 years ahead of you, but someone who is recently ahead of you. For example, I co-host a Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank. And Kevin says, to some of the folks who've been on the show, he's like, you don't want me as a coach because I don't remember what it was like to be you, right? If you're trying to go from 100 million to a billion or whatever, maybe then I'm your guy. You want someone who's 2 or 3 years ahead of you where you are,
Mm.
which I think was great advice. And I've had a mix of people who were really far ahead of me, but could tell me things to do and things to avoid, and folks who were more recently where I am so that it's more fresher in their minds, and they might remember things to tell me that someone who had done what I wanted 20 years ago doesn't.
Wow. That's huge. Like a lot of things in life, the principle of the right thing at the right time. I've talked about it in like health conscious side and food recently, but in mentorship, that's very powerful as well. How did you guys actually get connected, you and Kevin?
I kidnapped him. So
Okay.
my wife says I shouldn't say that. So he was here to speak at a EO regional event. He was doing a book tour for his new book at the time. While he was still actively on Shark Tank. He came to speak at the event. I didn't know what EO was, wasn't part of it then, but I spent a couple $100 to buy a public ticket and canceled all my meetings so I could go. This was before Uber. He does his speech, then he's in the back signing autographs, taking selfies, selling copy, doing his book. And I figured none of that would make me stand out. So when it was my turn, I'm from Buffalo. He was in Buffalo. I said, I'm here to take you to the airport. He said, oh, I was just going to get a cab. And I said,
Wow.
no, they insist I'm supposed to take you to the airport. And he said, okay. And so I drove very slowly to the airport. So I had more time to pitch.
That's amazing. That is absolutely a marketing guy move. So I love that. Has that relationship really helped you make connections at the next level?
Fantastic. Yes.
Yeah.
He has been a client, partner, mentor, friend for 13 years. We've gotten doors open. We've interviewed people who otherwise never would have said yes because Kevin is my co-host. We've gotten opportunities. I've gotten to work with him on various companies. It has been incredible.
Very cool. Where can people find out more about what you're doing, what you're working on, more about the invisible salesperson?
Okay, so the company website is marketdominationllc.com. If you want to grab a time to talk about your business and see if, anything that we do makes sense, bookwithseth.com. And then if you're specifically interested in the invisible salesperson, that's that bit.ly/AI podcast consult. And then you can grab a time and we'll send you a video ahead of time explaining the process and then walk you through it.
Thank you so much, Seth, for coming on. And it's been a pleasure. I know I learned a lot and I'm excited about where we're heading. Thank you for setting a great example.
My pleasure. Thanks so much. It's been a lot of fun to be here. Greatly appreciate it. Can't wait to come back another time.